Um, Minnow is the pot 3 runner of this race, but he only has a pot 3 because he didn't have a PB going into this tournament. But now his PB is definitely very respectable, 154 without instant text. So definitely very good for the amount of time he spent in the game. And then Eco is pot 2 with a 155 time, I think. No, maybe better. I don't know.
But... he has a, hold on, I have it pulled up. Yeah, 155.22. So very, very close PBs currently between both Minnow and Echo, with about a 2.5 minute difference between the two of them.
And what's more, we're gonna maybe see some swag strats from Minnow in this race. Not quite Dreekian level swag, but definitely gonna be an interesting race to see from all perspectives here.
A pretty standard early game, first minute or so here, where all players grabbing the PC potion and then starting to grab their Squirtle. So.
And if you haven't been to one of these races, we pick Squirtle because there's no other good starter to pick, is the short answer. Because even though Bulbasaur gets the type advantage against the first 2 gyms, it doesn't get Vine Whip until level 13, while Squirtle gets Bubble at level 8. So,
yep.
Definitely.
And if you notice there, Minnow walking all the way to the back side of the table to grab his Squirtle and naming him the G instead of A as normal. So the swag is coming already. All right, we'll see how these first rival fights end up going out. Sometimes they can be really easy and forgiving, and sometimes they can just growl you 700 times with no crits.
So yeah, this fight is probably one of the most variant fights in the run, but it doesn't seem as bad because it's literally the first fight in the run, so once you get past it... I mean, in general, the early game is very RNG heavy, because you have to go through Route 1 3 different times, up, down, up, without getting a ton of encounters. So on PB attempts...
Ideally just one, and then... ideally not the high-level Pidgey on Route 1 as well. So...
yeah.
Very, very variable. The Nido times can be a little bit spread out just depending on exactly how this rival fight goes, as well as how many encounters are seen. So,
wow, Minnow finishes the rival fight second before Eco, even with all the stuff he did.
Even with the swag strats.
But obviously, this doesn't, as we just said, this doesn't mean a ton in terms of how the race will end up this first 7 or 8 minutes, because the encounters are definitely very random.
Minnow getting blocked by the trainer there, only one of the 3.
Minnow and Stocchi both no encounters, and Eco I think only gets 1. So, wow, it's very...
Level 3 Rat's not bad as well, so he's going to kill this here for the small little bit of extra experience, so that way after the one trainer we fight in the forest, we'll get Bubble. So this gives you just enough XP to level up into learning the very key move for the Brock fight that we'll see in probably, 7-8 minutes here?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. This fight would be impossible with Tackle. I don't even... Yeah.
No, thank you. Yeah. Both Minnow and Stocchi getting no encounters coming back down to deliver the parcel.
And there's the right oak from Minnow.
Oh, man.
Already off to a great start.
And he's actually not that far behind. Like, all things considered. We'll see how the couple of minutes of time loss he seems to be implementing intentionally into his route ends up playing into this race. Echo finally making it to oak and does a front oak instead of a side oak. So we saw 3 different oaks this race.
Even though Stokey was the only one to do the optimal one. So in red and blue, you can either go to the left of oak or behind oak, and they're roughly the same amount of time. Obviously, right oak is way slower than everything else because you have to go around the table. But going in front of oak just loses 1 extra tile that the rival walks on, and the rival does not walk very fast. So,
and get a level 3 Pidgey, perfect. So both Sochi and Minnow, who haven't got encounters yet, are just into their first encounter for that extra XP we were talking about that Echo already got. Ideally, Echo doesn't get another encounter here. Commentator curse.
happens.
Yep.
So Stoki finishing. Ooh, and Minnow's out too. Wow.
Yep, almost identical times. Stokey did get 1 extra encounter. Minnow got 1 total. Stokey got 2, which is where where he was able to catch up. But they're both hitting the shop at almost exactly the same time, and Echo only being a couple of seconds behind. So
here we see Stokey and Echo buying 4 Pokeballs each, and Minnow buying 5. Either one is fine. It's just usually you want more than 3 because 3 is the minimum you need to catch all the Pokemon.
Yep. And one of them is not guaranteed. So, that said, for those of you who have never seen a red run, you may be wondering, why are they turning the game off currently and restarting? The short answer to that is when you restart your game, you can actually set up the random numbers that run in the background to very consistently be the same by walking in specific paths and actually pressing various buttons. In this case, for this one, all they're pressing is A a couple of times through their pathing to guarantee that they get this exact Nido in this first tile of grass here. Minnow being kind of an oddball once again, and doing a slightly different manip than Echo and Stochi did to get there. But that is the idea, is it guarantees that they get the encounter they want. Instead of sitting in the grass and rolling through 6-7 encounters before getting what they need and hoping the stats are good enough.
So actually what happened with Minnow there is, so first he messed up the first manip. And the reason why he did the different movement there was because there's an NPC on that first, on that route to the left of Viridian that can move randomly. And if it moves left onto your screen while you save for the manip, then it doesn't work. So that's why you have a backup manipulation in case the NVC walks too far to the left, which is what Minnow just did. So yeah.
And Echo now ahead. He was a couple of seconds behind, and he is now leading the pack. One of the kind of interesting things to note is you'll notice that they are very specifically, while going through the forest, walking a very specific path. Not always necessarily hugging the wall, sometimes taking extra steps in grass. This is because in Gen 1, there are actually 2 different grass tiles in the forest. You'll notice that in the bottom right corner of some of them, there's actually little like flower icons in some of them. And you actually can't get encounters on those. So by walking through this path, you end up reducing the amount of encounters you possibly could get drastically.
So yeah, we don't see any extended manipulations here, unfortunately. But as Samson said, you do walk a very specific path. In yellow, this actually doesn't work. The tiles are completely random. But in red and blue, they're definitely very specific tiles, like Samson said, where the flowers are in the bottom, and which indicates you can't get encounters there. So it's much rarer to get encounters in this forest than it is in yellow. Plus the encounter rate is much lower in addition.
Minnow opting to skip the antidote there.
Yeah, because he picked up the slower hidden. Yeah.
The hidden antidote, yep.
Going for every swag strat possible, aka every little time loss possible.
So both Stocchi and Echo getting poisoned here. Obviously not ideal. Preferably you would not get poisoned at all. But not the end of the world. That is why they picked up that antidote intentionally, and you'll see them once getting out of this fight, making a swap with putting Nito as their starter Pokemon, potentially healing depending on HPs, and then antidoting that poison off.
Oh, yeah, I guess I missed Stokey getting a bird, but Stokey got a bird, so now he's actually ahead.
Yep.
So, yeah, Eco's doing the backup Pidgeymon, which you usually only do if you see that your Squirtle doesn't have good special, which is important for the Brock fight, because if you have bad special, there are certain situations where you just have to risk bide, and there's basically 50% chance for you to die, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's faster to save and catch a Pidgey than it is to save for Brock and reset if you die. Looks like Eco missed the Yola Ball. Unlucky.
Sochi entering into the Brock fight here. And you'll notice this is kind of interesting. So the Nito is only level 4. The idea here is that we're just going to attempt to split XP by swapping to Squirtle and letting Squirtle do all the work for both the Geodude and the Onix coming up. And then getting that to the point where the Nito can kind of carry through the rest of the run even, actually. But from here on out.
So it looks like Stokey actually did get bide, which means he's swapping to his flyer here, and you see the strat that we just talked about, so that the bird tanks the bide damage instead of the Squirtle, which would kill it. So Stokey getting extended and it paying off. Stokey with a very good time. 12:30 with the flyer is definitely a very respectable race time. The other two racers do not have a bird. I don't actually know if Eco ended up getting it. But I'm sure Minnow doesn't have his.
Yeah. No, Minnow's gonna catch Zapdos to fly.
Good strat.
Who needs a Pidgey? Right,
I mean,
both Minnow and Echo finishing about the same time. I think Echo's slightly ahead here. Nope. It was just the first fight. Okay.
Ooh, Eco risks 8. Okay, doesn't get punished. Now he heals. If you were watching earlier, last week, we did see Dreekian do the same exact thing, and he got punished, and he could not recover from it. So definitely can be very dangerous to do those types of plays.
Yep, absolutely. So here's going to be kind of the first potential big-ish route difference between the three players coming up is after the third-ish fight here on Route 3, whether or not the players choose to do last or not. Pros and cons to both. I think last list, so doing it without the last, is slightly faster usually, but is not as safe.
It's almost always faster. It's usually only slower if you die to Moon Rocket. So, because, like,
yeah,
that's the main thing with last is you get Nidoking for a pretty dangerous fight in Mount Moon called the Moon Rocket, or Mookit as some people like to say, where basically instead of having to like survive 2 to 3 turns on each Pokemon, you just end up one-shotting both of them with 85% accuracy. So definitely tends to be a lot safer.
Pretty standard fights elsewise. For the rest of these players, nothing super unlucky or anything going on in Route 3 so far.
Minnow gets crit by the Rattata. Also, I just noticed his Nidoran has no name. How did I not notice this?
Yep. He's just going. Is he gonna YOLO Mount Moon? Is that gonna be a strat? No manip, just go for it.
Ooh, Minnow actually has a potential to keep Red Bar throughout 3 here. And we actually haven't mentioned Red Bar yet because it's not relevant yet usually. But basically, in Gen 1, if your Pokemon is below 5/24ths of its max HP, then you'll hear the little jingle, which means you should heal your Pokemon because your HP is low. And basically, in Gen 1, that actually saves time. It skips cries, level ups within the fight, and saves time just on general inputs. But the biggest time save usually is are the level ups within the fight. But it all saves time. It's just very fast to have Red Bar.
Yep.
Oh, and Minnow actually heals. Very interesting play.
Getting out of Red Bar here.
For the moment, I think his HP was fairly safe. But I guess he was dead to Poison Sting into Tackle Crit from Caterpie, but maybe he could have played around that on the Caterpie if he got Poison Sting, but not an unreasonable play. So it doesn't look like Stokey does last. Very interested to see if anyone does. Because it's actually been pretty prevalent in
the races so far.
So far. Not like, I think it's more common that we've seen last lists than last so far in the tournament, but definitely not uncommon for sure.
Right. I am a big fan in races myself of going with the last. Just helps make sure that you get through the first portion of the run, where you usually can like backup strat stuff to save yourself if something does go wrong.
Oh, and I'm wrong again. Stokey actually does do last. I didn't notice, but he just Poison Sting the Metapod, which you only have if you do last.
Yep.
So somehow I missed that, but 0 for 2 on Stokey's progress.
And then, yeah, if you are doing the last strat here, you do end up killing almost any encounter in the grass here, except for level 3 and level 7 Jigglypuffs, I believe.
Yep.
Just because the level 3s don't quite give you enough experience, and you can't one-shot the level 7s, and then you get put to sleep, and then everything is awful. So many encounters for Stocchi. Very unlucky.
And we also do see last from Eco as well. He's fighting it right now, but we don't see it from Minnow. So we're gonna see him do the Route 3 min up here, I think. So while the other two runners do a manipulation, that instead starts from the beginning of Moon. So we'll see a bit of difference there.
So here's going to be the biggest manipulation of the run on Stocchi's part here. This manip does a handful of things. It lets you get a lot of the items that are in Mount Moon without getting encounters, slowly make your way through all of Mount Moon. You'll notice a couple of extra tiles and such that we were talking about before to just make sure that RNG is how you want it. And then depending on which one he's doing, potentially even getting a Paris right at the tail end of it, assuming he makes it all the way through. But lots of time save. I remember the ye old days where you used to just YOLO through it, and it was a matter of, did I get 20 encounters or 5?
Ah, yes, classic.
Minnow entering in Moon and YOLOing it. No. Or is he doing the extended Pidgey? I think he's doing the extended Flyer Manip, where he goes into Moon. Echo searching the grass. Waiting for that flyer. There it is. And there's Stocchi finishing up the items on the first floor, getting that very, very crucial Moonstone, which will be used here actually relatively soon to get that Nidoran all the way up to a Nidoking.
Yeah, if Moonstone wasn't available early in the game, I'm very, very sure that Nidoking would not be the fastest.
Yeah, we'd probably still be running Blastoise.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah, because Blastoise, you already have it. It's just
Minky strats. Let's go.
So Stocchi does get the Paris. We'll see if he gets the Yola Ball. So we're using Paris here because it learns Cut and Dig, where no other Pokemon usually gets that.
Yeah.
You can also do a different strat. There are a few different strats you can do. One involves trading a Spearow that you catch on Route 3 for a Farfetch'd named Dux, which learns Cut and Fly, and then you just teach Dig to Squirtle. So that's one thing you can do. Or you can catch an Oddish instead of a Paris, and then teach Dig to Squirtle again. But usually you want to catch the Paris. It's definitely a lot faster on average.
Yep, absolutely. Stocchi going through his menus pretty easily. Throw away the extra ball that he doesn't need anymore, just free up some inventory spots for the various things he's going to be grabbing in the future, and then teaching Water Gun, then Moonstone, then Mega Punch to the Nidoran Nidoking.
Ooh, that might actually be an IGT from Minnow. I think I recognize that encounter. Maybe not, though.
Yeah, we'll see if he does the backup here as soon as he goes down the ladder. Also, Minnow being the only one on the gray palette.
That does look like an IGT from Minnow. Wow, that's unlucky. But so now we're gonna see Minnow doing the backup manipulation, which Eco is also doing.
Yep, I was just about to say Eco is actually following suit here.
So if you get IGT'd, which I haven't even explained IGT yet, but basically IGT is the minute fails. And so if something happens up to basically the middle of Mount Moon, you can use this backup manipulation where the movement's pretty easy. There's not a lot of A presses.
Yeah, basically just follow the walls and should be about 2 A presses total for the most part.
Yes.
Relatively easy to pick up, especially if you are used to doing the full manip. This one is cake in comparison. Getting all the way to the Paris as well, which is nice. And I believe this one also has YOLO ball availability, correct?
Yes, for the select buffer, which you just saw Minnow do.
Yep.
And does get the YOLO ball.
Stocchi about 2 fights ahead here. Really good time.
Minnow doesn't know if he got IGT, and reflectively names his Paris as such. I will tell him that he has gotten IGT.
And you will notice there is a small difference in what Stocchi and Echo are doing to Minnow on this fight. Is they both leveled up and are rare candied, taught some moves, and evolved to Nidoking prior to this rocket fight. And that is because they did the last fight earlier on Route 3, giving them that extra XP and level. So that way they're able to do that here and have a little bit safer of a fight.
So yeah, we do see Stocchi already out of Moon. Definitely very far ahead of the other 2 runners. Probably 2 minutes at the very least.
Yep. Very similar to what we were expecting those for Stocchi to get a lead in the kind of early to mid game, and then just kind of keep that lead throughout, while Minnow and Echo are about neck and neck, almost identical. Like difference of what, maybe a minute, but if tops, because Minnow has all of the evolutions and teaching to do here that Echo has already done. A very, very close race for second so far, with Stocchi slowly pulling that gap more and more ahead as time goes on. But knowing Red, there's lots of things coming forth that could definitely catch both Minnow and Echo up at this point. Ooh. It's not like it's a...
Ooh, and Eco misses Mega Punch. Misses Mega Punch into Supersonic.
Oh no.
So this is an example of where last actually doesn't help you. Missing Mega Punch into Supersonic is definitely the worst case scenario for last route.
It doesn't happen often, but you can die here even doing last strats. Had it happen the other day. It was real awkward. But Echo navigating the bad luck relatively well, and starting the next fight almost exactly with Minnow here, maybe 4 or 5 seconds behind.
And we do see Stocchi crit and kill the Bulbasaur. That is not a good range to die. So definitely very fortunate. Oh, and Mega Punch disable for Minnow too. Wow. Oh, double Mega Punch disable. Oh my goodness. But it looks like Eco does have Horn attacks. I think that's
And Minnow does not. So Minnow is water gunning the Voltorb currently.
Alright, Minnow gets undisabled, so not as punished for not having Horn attacks.
He also gets the crit on the water gun, so he might just, Poison Stinger water gun again to clean it up. No reason to chance missing a Mega Punch again.
Very high roll critical from Minnow here on the coughing, so can water gun or Horn attack, or I think probably can't poison.
Echo still disabled through literally the entire fight. Did not get as lucky as Minnow did, where the disable comes off on the last move. Very unlucky. Minnow going for the Dome Fossil and not Lord Helix.
And gets immediately punished with an encounter. Serves him right. Kappa. Nico goes for the backup Benep, or might just skip it and get this Paris. We'll see what happens. Nah, he's going to go for the backup.
He's going to go for the YOLO, the little bit more guaranteed of a catch.
Yeah,
could have YOLO'd it, but if you miss and get unlucky there, it becomes very, very rough for Echo there.
Right. He does only have one Pokeball, so if he had weakened it and it didn't catch in the first ball, then he would have had to... I don't know what bird he has, but he would have had to either get Oddish or trade for Ducks, which are both not very good options.
Gets the encounter. Is a YOLO ball here. Hopefully Echo hits it, and we can move on, get him out of Moon as well.
Alright, he does get it.
Yeah. Very, very good.
So actually pretty interesting feature about Gen 1. So in Gen 1, the shakes for a Pokemon are actually fixed based on their catch rate. So for example, if the Nidoran breaks out for whatever reason, if it's an IGT or if you mess up or whatever, at full HP, if it breaks out, it will always break out on the third shake, just based off of the catch rate. And the Paris you see would break out in the second shake. Yep. So it just depends. And some Pokemon, like the legendary birds, you might just not, like, you might miss the Pokemon.
Yeah, literally might not even hit it. You gotta work on your pitching skills.
Which means if you don't miss the Pokemon, that means you know you've caught it in that situation. So definitely very interesting.
Minnow into the rival fight here. And Stokey almost finishing up Nugget Bridge. So Minnow deciding that he didn't like the sand attacks, going to switch out, let the Pidgey die. Very similar to the Brock fight earlier, where you can just use one of your extra Pokemon to just basically eat an attack. Lets you just reset nice and easy, so that way you have a little bit smoother of a fight from here on out. Definitely not a bad idea to do when those sand attacks come through.
This situation actually is one of the biggest arguments for not having instant text. Because if I just explain how instant text works really quickly. So instant text is like a pseudo glitch, which basically, if you talk to the bike shop owner before you have the bike voucher, and then you leave using B, then it'll turn on the flag for instant text, for whatever reason, and that will continue on being instant text until you open a menu of some sort. And PB attempts, if you're doing a PB attempt, usually you'll get instant text, and if you get sand attack on that fight, you kind of have to just fight through it because...
Yep, YOLO through it, because otherwise you lose it, and losing the instant text there ends up losing you enough time that...
Exactly.
Yeah, there's this give and take balance of do you want to be faster going forward, or do you want a safer fight? And being just under a 2-hour run, I guess, hour 45, somewhere in that ballpark, depending on where your PBs are at. Being 30 minutes in is kind of right on that cusp of, like, is it worth it or not? As well, for just, like, run sake. PB attempts, basically always, though. You're really pushing to just have the best run, world record attempts, those sort of things. Stokey is cruising through the top here. Already done. Heading over to Bill. Minnow missing the range there. On the Pidgey, just short. Finish it up with a Poison Sting. And Echo just finishing his rival fight. So I believe Minnow here still has a rare candy that he's going to use here shortly after another fight or so.
So you're gonna see all the people in the race, Stocchi, Minnow, and Eco, all fighting the bottom hiker here. But previously in older routes, there was a route where you would fight the top youngster. You mostly do the hiker now because you already have water gun. As a result of the full moon minip, which you didn't used to do. So normally you would do the top youngster because it's faster, but it does give less experience. But you would just thrash that fight because you already have thrash by that point.
Yep. Yeah, the minips definitely have changed, as well as like not having them prior to even having them as well, where you used to not grab that water gun, you used to just head directly to the up and to the right. So how routes evolve, and we slowly find different discoveries and things that can make even just small little changes can save time sometimes. So
yeah, and we've actually seen a lot of different improvements in the routes over the course of this red tournament and last red tournament, albeit not completely major changes to like the core of the route, but changes in terms of what items you buy, what items you swap in menus, how to make routes more safe, that kind of stuff. So we've definitely seen a lot of evolution as a result of these tournaments.
Yep. And races are really interesting too, because it's all about consistency versus necessarily going for that PB run. So especially like race routes versus PB routes can definitely be different, just because of what you're willing to risk to save 20 seconds in a PB attempt versus maybe it's not worth be doing something slightly more risky in a race where you really just want to consistently making sure you're getting to the end of the run with a relatively decent time.
Right, exactly. So here we see Stocchi healing from it. Wait, did he heal? Escape roping out of Bill's house. Doesn't look like a centering, so I guess that just means he just potioned. Because Misty's quite a scary fight in general. She has a Starmie, which you two-shot, which means you give it a chance to attack you. And she can either use Water Gun, Bubble Beam, or use an X Defend. Bubble Beam critical does almost all your HP, and it's also 1 in 3 to Speedfall you, and Speedfall makes you slower than it. And then X Defend makes the fight vary greatly because then you have to take an extra turn to kill it. So definitely a lot of things that can happen, and not a ton of them are good.
Yeah, definitely a big reset point. If all racers can get through Misty without any big hiccups, it's a pretty good sign for sure. And we'll see if any of them take a safety save before. It wouldn't surprise me if they do, but one of the other interesting things to note is once you escape rope out of Bill, if you noticed on Stocchi's screen, he does actually go up and fight the rocket member before going through and doing the Misty fight. And it might seem like he walked like a lot of extra steps from a path that he's going to be taking after the fight anyway. But the big reason why you do that is actually getting a little bit extra XP. So that way after the first Pokemon on the Misty fight, you actually level up to 25, and that gives you just enough speed to outspeed the Starmie, which is very, very important, as Headbob was saying.
So yeah, we're going to see Stocchi save for Misty, which again is another thing that you could not do during instant text races, because that would also kill your instant text.
Yep.
So losing or dying to Misty would lose a lot more time than if you were to just save and reset if you died.
And we see the Thrash, and now it's just cross your fingers, hope and pray, and see what happens.
Crits into
Pretty
Bubble
nice.
Beam.
This is scary.
Okay, no crit and no Speedfall, which means he is fine.
Fantastic. Yep. Either one of those there, and he most likely ends up dying in that fight. So but luck is on his side. Call it Allen luck, and off he goes.
So yeah, why a question in chat, why Eco's screen is blue?
Very good question.
And the other two are red? Actually, quite a good question, yeah. Because some manipulations in this game require the use of different palette swaps. And the manipulation that Eco did was called is like the backup Paris manip. And that requires a palette swap.
Okay. And you actually can choose one of two different palettes. There's a blue palette and more of like a brownie, like red palette. Because you can hold either up or left during the kind of bio screen to choose what palette that is for that manip. I'm always a big fan of going blue myself, just because it seems funny that I'm running blue in a red game.
I believe you actually can choose any palette if you just buffer it. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
Definitely possible.
But yeah, Minnow also did the Route 3 manipulation in Moon, which also swaps your palette. But unfortunately, he got an IGT, which means he had to do a backup manip, which doesn't use the palette swap. So that's why his screen is not red. So stocchi actually quite low HP. In PB attempts, this would be great HP because it has high potential for red bar, which he now has. But at this HP, the next rival fight will be very scary. So I trust he's probably going to heal before that fight or during that fight. Okay, he's actually choose to heal before this next fight because I don't think quick attack critical kills from 11. It might, but
the Vine Weapon stuff can, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not as scary as being slightly less HP there. I think being in the like 8 to 10 is real scary. I think 11 is just barely out of the range there. And we're going to see Minnow here heading into the gym to hopefully have some decent luck and clean up the Misty fight.
Yeah, like I said, I trust that stocchi was probably going to heal anyways. It's just that he likely didn't need to heal before that next fight. It's not a wrong play, it's just
slightly different timings of when he would have done it. It doesn't necessarily lose him time doing it before or later.
Like, I guess it was a little bit of time, but that's besides the point. It's definitely better in races to heal before that fight because Pidgeotto, is basically guaranteed to damage you. The only ways he doesn't damage you is guaranteed is, I guess, not the right way to say it, but
a couple of sand attacks.
Yeah.
Which case, that's also bad, so you don't really want that to happen anyway.
Exactly. Pidgeotto has quick attack, gust, and sand attack, so you can either critical it with horn attack to one-shot it, or you can get sand attack fail, that's a very good outcome, or you get sand attack hit, in which case that's a very bad outcome. And he crits with Bubble Beam and doesn't kill.
Unlucky. Here comes Minnow with his thrashing into the Starmie as well. We get an X defend.
That's probably a range, which is quite unlucky.
Ooh, and the crit for Minnow, cleaning up the fight even with the X defend. So very, very good fight for Minnow.
Yes, crit into X defend is probably what you want to see the most during races. At least races when you just want to play safe, because Some of the racers here, stocchi probably does go for a strategy called fly red bar here, which involves taking usually one hit from a Pokemon in Rock Tunnel, or just or Surge, just having red bar, to have red bar throughout the entirety of Rock Tunnel. And I think because he's already close to that red bar HP, he's probably going to go for it, but he might not. We'll see with this pace. Oh, Bubble Beam Speedfall. He actually can live this. Oh, he lives on one! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's so close. Woo!
That's quite lucky.
Wow.
I think the max roll there is 24, so I think he was favored to live that. But
Yeah.
but I'm actually not sure. But okay, Eco takes the center here, which definitely fine, I think. But
Makes a lot of sense. The next couple of fights he has have quick attack potential, so you definitely want to heal kind of no matter what, whether it's potions or center. Being as low as he is, it makes sense, I think, saving the extra potions that you'll potentially need later on in the route.
exactly. Some runners are sometimes hesitant to use all their potions because it like kind of adjusts their menus a little bit, because usually you see potions in slot 1 here. As I say that, stocchi swaps it down. But if you don't have potions, number one, you can't. There's like sometimes there's very specific situations where potions are very useful, like a potion specifically. Usually that means around the very end of the game, like Lance, Elite Four.
Yep. It's typically the Agatha fight, right? That you kind of prep your HP into to push into red bar, if I remember correctly.
And we
I've seen
see
it a couple places.
we do see Cheater Palette from stocchi as well. And the reason it's called Cheater Palette, I'm saying that with air quotes, is because it allows you to see all the trainers' positions in Rock Tunnel, except the manipulation itself does lose, I think, just over a second, maybe a second and a half or something like that.
Yep. Just a little bit of time, but can potentially make that up, especially as like if you are a relatively new player. I definitely recommend this. It makes your pathing in Rock Tunnel much better, which can save you a little bit of time from text boxes and stuff with repels. As an experienced player, I'm sure he can navigate it blindfolded.
Ooh, okay. So stocchi misses the 70% range on Voltorb and gets X speed into Screech. Oh, and gets quick attack.
Ooh, oh no.
Which is very, very good considering he got Screech.
Yeah.
So now he's
Puts
at
him into a nice
quite
red
a good
bar.
position. If he crits
I
or
need to go to
fortunes.
Thrash.
Oh, and does crit the Raichu. Wow. That is great position for stocchi. Normally, in Stokey's position, actually, I think that was his 4th turn of Thrash, right? So he needed to crit,
Yep,
or else
that
he had
was.
to swap. So he gets the
Yep.
4 turn, which is already 50-50, and then he crits the Raichu on top of that. He was almost guaranteed to have to swap out.
Yeah, was very, very lucky. Minnow just finishing up his boat rival fight here. Hit the Thrash button. Now it's just a little bit of mashing to finish up the fight. It was relatively clean. He did have to actually swap out on the Pidgeotto. Let the Pidgey take a hit to just get the sand attacks off of him to make sure he hits everything else the rest of the fight. But the end all wasn't too bad. Definitely could have been worse.
Yeah, we might actually see stocchi going for the best time in the tournament so far. He's in a very good position for Fly Red Bar, which you don't usually get, to be honest, in round 1. You don't usually see it on a pace this far ahead. But since he's in such a good position, I can't imagine he would heal out of it. So yeah, definitely a very good position for stocchi. Let me see. Eco starting the boat rival fight and Minnow leaving the boat. So still pretty close. Definitely not 2 minutes apart. I think maybe like a minute and a half or something.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Stocchi just making more and more of a gap as every fight goes on, now being in red bar, going through this. Do you expect him to YOLO the 4-turn thrash here again? Being already in
No,
red
I expect
bar?
them Mega Punch, yeah. Usually you almost always Mega Punch,
Mega Punch.
when you're at this HP. Even in races, if you're at pretty high HP, I can't imagine you would go for the 4-turn thrash. It's just unnecessary risk, and the benefit's not that great. If you're fine with not getting red bar.
Right.
Oh, and Eco stalling a Kadabra? Ooh, and actually pays off
Gets
with the crit.
into red. Wow. Very smart.
And
Big brain
crits
plays.
the Ivysaur as well. Wow.
So catching up a little bit of time here on Minnow. That fight definitely was significantly quicker than Minnow's.
Yeah, so actually definitely increasing his odds of passing Minnow with red bar. We'll see if he goes for Gentleman Candy. He might not, because I think he would pop out of red bar earlier on, but it definitely is nice to have that safety. What Gentleman does, if you're unaware, is you fight a Gentleman and you get a rare candy behind him, and basically what that does is it secures like all the dangerous ranges. Pretty much all the dangerous ranges in Surge and in Rock Tunnel and just outside of Rock Tunnel. So if you're looking to get red bar, it's definitely a very safe play to do if you have the time to do it. We see Minnow doing 60 asterisk out of 60 cans Minip. And I say asterisk because it's not actually 100% to not IGT, but very, very close to 100% not to IGT, which cannot be said for the other manipulations. Like you saw Sochi doing pallet cans. There's 2 other manipulations that are a lot more simple, but have slightly worse IGTs.
For the question in chat about is a PB possible, I would say yes. He is actually a little bit behind his PB pace though. Just looking it up just to see kind of where he was at, and going into this next fight, he was at almost exactly 50 minutes. So he's about 3 minutes behind his current PB, but about halfway through the run, potentially if keeping red bar and stuff throughout it, potentially could squeeze some time back up.
Okay, very interesting. We see Stocchi save for Oddish Girl, which means he probably is thrashing. Yeah. So there is a strategy called, it's where you Thunderbolt Oddish. Ooh, and Sleep Powder. That's really bad. So it's where you Thunderbolt the Oddish at like around this type of HP where you're at high red bar. And basically what it does is if you get Stun Spore, you could just heal off the paralysis. Oh, and he does not wake up. But Sleep Powder is bad in both of these strategies, because although it is less bad on Thunderbolt Oddish because you can just heal it off with a potion or whatever to be more safe. So you can probably justify not saving if you're Thunderbolting Oddish is kind of what I'm trying to get across here.
Yeah.
Oh, and does get absorbed this time, which is definitely an outcome that he is looking for.
Yep, that is the ideal here.
Well, the ideal is getting the range, but
yeah. In comparison to both paralysis as well as sleep powder.
Yes, of course. All right, Eco gets. Wait, does he? I think he thrashed both Voltorb, so he does get the 4-turn thrash. Might see him catching up to Minnow in the next couple of minutes after these few fights. So we'll have to see. Okay. All right. So Minnow misses Mega Punch on Oddish, and actually gets the best outcome. That Oddish
For having the worst outcome of missing, it definitely could have been worse.
Yes. That Oddish actually don't. It has. I forget what it has. It has a lot of status moves, not just poison.
Yep.
And poison powder is ineffective because you are a poison type. So definitely the best outcome to see there.
Stun Spore, Poison Powder, and Absorb.
Okay, so yeah, Stun Spore is not an outcome you want to see. Oh, and Quick Attack for Stocchi for 1 in 39. Wow, for 6. I don't think that's relevant, but it does put him at a more shaky HP for Lavender
Yep,
Rival.
a couple fights. Yep. Grabbing the Max Ether. Very, very good pace on Stocchi's part. Already through all of Rock Tunnel. Just chugging along. Alright, let's see if Minnow ends up cutting the branch. He does not.
Oh, okay. So Stocchi gets a lot of damage. He's on 2 HP here, which means he is unable to tank a quick attack from Pidgeotto. So we probably actually see him heal on fly menu here and go for early drill strats. Or heal turn 1 at Pidgeotto. There's a few things he could do. But he can't really justify going in with his HP.
Yep.
And not healing, but
yeah, you can really see the difference between the palette benefits in Rock Tunnel now on Minnow's screen, where he does not have the palette that Stocchi had. And just being able to have to kind of navigate it blind. So she's deciding that it's time for a big shopping spree here. Go sell everything he owns, and time to stock up.
stock up as in the name Stocchi. Okay, so we did see the Thunderbolt Oddish strat that I mentioned before from Minnow. Does save time for him, doesn't save and gets absorbed, which is one of the best outcomes. Usually it's just absorb or poison powder that you generally want to see if you're doing that strategy.
Yep. Echo just barely outside a red bar here.
Very interested to see what he's going to do for the Oddish fight with this type of HP.
I would expect a Thunderbolt and then hope for Absorb.
Yeah.
Just hoping to put him in a little bit better into that red bar range.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
But...
Alright, so Eco doesn't save, so that probably means he is Thunderbolting Oddish. But we will see. Definitely tends to be a much safer strat. So we'll see what he gets. Thunderbolts. And sleep powder. That's not what you want to see. But if he does get in close to death range, he has the privilege of healing. Does wake up.
Good wake up. The second absorb is also very, very good. Being at about 12 HP is great.
And yeah, so now he has a much better red bar than he had before.
So very, very good. For being unlucky, that worked out. So I'm sure Echo's not really complaining about that fight.
So yeah, we do see stocchi doing early drill, which probably means I didn't see if he healed or not, but that almost guarantees he's going to heal at some point.
Yep.
So yeah. So minnow just over one fight goes for right max ether. Just over one fight ahead of Eco here.
Yeah, very, very close on for those two. Very curious to see how the finishing times are between Minnow and Echo. See how close it actually ends up being. Because they've been neck and neck almost this whole run. So
Okay,
healing
so
turn 1.
Gets sand attack. That's kind of unfortunate. Ooh, and that's really unfortunate. Okay. All right, never mind. We're chilling.
Quick attack, good, perfect. We're in it.
So this HP will keep red bar for the next level up, which is basically all you need. And unfortunately, will not be able to tank a nightshade if he misses rock slide on one of the ghastlies. But that's why we have revive. So don't miss rock slide. Easy.
Easy clap. Minnow slowly chugging along the bottom of the floor there to grab the elixir. Now it's Minnow's turn to go on a shopping spree here. Once again, sell all of his things, get all the goodies that he needs. Tempted to sell the dome fossil, couldn't quite do that. Alright, first rock slide hit on stocchi. Great, exactly what we wanted.
Ooh, and Eco gets quick attack critical for 8. That seems like a very high roll. That might be a 139. Because I think, if I recall correctly, Stokey got quick attack for 7.
Yep.
For quick attack crit for 7. So either that's a range or got 139, which is another way to say like the high roll. That tends to be one more damage higher than the highest roll.
Start to get into the top of the tower here. Just a couple of fights, still in the kind of scary HP range of missing rock slides with Nightshade, but oh no, he healed because heal pad. Yeah. So he's just cruising now.
So Minnow buys 12 X accuracies, so that probably means he's not doing early drill. Which, if I recall correctly, is at pretty high HP. So normally that means you would do early drill, but he still could do it, but he'd just be... I think he would have exactly enough X accuracies.
Nullifies the revives a bit, having exactly enough. Usually trying to buy 1 or 2 extras, just so that way you can, if something does go wrong and your Nidoking does die, you can swap out, revive, and then reset up. Now it's Echo's turn to give the little girl some sweets. Give her the sugary drink and get thanked for it.
Alright, looks like Minnow doesn't do early drill. So besides what's in the name for early drill, basically means you teach horn drill early on for the Lavender rival fight, but it also means you save a menu. That's basically like the general selling point. You save the menu of teaching horn drill in a separate menu after all the channelers are beaten. But it requires not a lot. It just means you have a slightly worse range on one of the Pokemon at the top of the tower, and you just have to rock slide a Growlithe on the Sylph rival fight. That's basically it. So definitely, I definitely think the upsides outweigh the downsides of that strat.
Stocchi cleaning up the last fight here for the Lavender Tower, getting the Poke Flute, and then moving on to the next kind of big segment of the run, being Silphco. Echo did go for early horn drill, teaching it now in the fly menu. So Minnow being the only one not going for that strat currently.
Ooh, but 10 HP is actually pretty scary for early drill. Because he's dead to... If he gets hit turn 1, he's dead to quick attack at turn 2. Or he's dead to just a critical on the first turn.
He might do what Stocchi did in Potion. Turn 1.
I doubt he heals from 10, though. Healing from 2 is a lot more reasonable because you can't take a regular hit anyways. Oh, and Minnow misses Rock Slide and gets confused, right? And it hurts himself. Yeah, he doesn't heal. And goes for it and gets quick attack.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, that's why it's pretty dangerous to do early draw on that HP. And the bird just doesn't kill the Squirtle. Sand attack spam.
Oh no! Oh no! Why?
Minnow gaining a further lead on Eco through this. He's maintained.
He just wants the squirrel to die.
To be honest, Minnow has definitely maintained a pretty solid lead, even though Eco had red bar through the most of Rock Tunnel. Oh!
Yep. Ooh,
is
Echo.
that a forfeit?
I think that might be a forfeit. Yes, it is. Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Rip, we need some Fs in chat, please.
That is really sad. I definitely think he still could have come back and beat Minnow. I don't think it was out of it yet. He definitely could have done Sylph Bar and some YOLOs or whatever. I just don't think it was over yet, but definitely not. It's not. Doesn't feel good to die to Lavender rival like that. So definitely sucks for sure.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate.
So now Minnow doesn't have to worry about getting last place. He can just play for a time that he think will advance by time. So he's not racing against a live racer right now. He's more racing against the times other people have gotten, and deciding what strats he needs to do to beat those types of times. So
Yep.
we'll see how that goes for him. Oh, and I just noticed, wow. Minnow misses the Golbat range and gets confused, right, and hurts himself. He's been very unlucky on this split. That Golbat range is 90+% to die. Right, so we actually already see Stokey past Sylph Rival. He is on the Sylph Rocket, also known as Socket. And he doesn't seem to have taken any damage from Sylph Rival, so we'll see how his HP management goes for the Wheezing coming up. He wants to be below a certain threshold of HP so that he dies to self-destruct.
Yep.
With as little stalling as possible, if any. And he gets guard spec from Nidorino, not what he wanted to see.
Yeah, I was hoping for some sort of damage there.
Probably wanted Horn Attack there. So if you don't die to Wheezing, it's not the end of the world, but it does mean you're going to have to take some stall strategy somewhere after, so that you can get Red Bar. Because the idea of dying to self-destruct on Wheezing is that you can rare candy out of it, and you get Red Bar from just after Koga all the way until Bruno. So that's like a very healthy chunk of time, and it's very consistent. Only a few scary fights.
Do we see the yellow scroll? And he gets it. Nice and easy.
Minnow gets down elixir. Continuing with the streak.
Just gotta do what you gotta do. Get it on the least every item on the least optimal path possible.
I do actually wonder if Minnow tries to go down cycling road on the left side. It would be pretty funny. And gets glared from the Arbok. Very unfortunate. This is the range as well.
Oh man, very unfortunate. So we'll very likely see Minnow do very similar to what stocchi did of trying to just set his HP range in this next fight or so. Is starting the fight off paralyzed, which makes sense to actually heal that off in fight. So that way exactly this can happen is he can make sure he takes the little bit extra damage he needs going forward for the Koga fight self-destruct.
Okay, he gets hit twice, which is not the worst. 63 HP. Usually dies to self-destruct, not always, but it's like I don't think it's good to stall your HP from here. I think you just any damage you get is really good. You're not going to be guaranteed to die, but I think usually you just take the risk.
Yep. stocchi going on a safari here, except a bit not very exciting one due to repel. Don't get to see any of the fun wildlife floating around.
Yep. We do see Minnow with an HP that one of our viewers may like.
And here's where we're about to start seeing the boss rush.
And there's Bone Club. So now he's guaranteed to die to self-destruct, which is exactly what he wanted to see. So.
Yep.
I wonder if he gets damage from Nidorino, he might decide to go for Red Bar for the beginning of Koga's gym. We'll have to see. But at the moment, I think he is a little bit worried about dying to Hypno, Confusion, but I don't think he can die to Hypno from this HP after the level ups. But it is close, and if he takes damage from Nidorino, he might. Focus energy, okay. So no damage from Nidorino, so definitely in a good position.
Yep. And yeah, stocchi being at, I believe it was 101 HP here, Very likely to intentionally take a little bit of damage here in this fight. Take a confusion, can put him right into the range for the wheezing.
I think he might actually X accuracy on Drowsy here.
Yep.
But he doesn't. But with this HP in particular, it's bad because you never die to self-destruct unless it crits or you get X attack. So you're kind of playing around like... Okay, he doesn't get damage from Hypno, but that's unfortunate. So he will pretty much be have to stall for red bar at some point after Koga, but we'll have to see what he actually does based on how much damage self-destruct does. This is a perfect time to mention this. Do you know if we've seen any Gen 1 misses during this run?
Not that I have noticed, at least.
So if one of our
Everything's
runners...
been sand attack stuff, so like it's definitely possible, but that technically somebody rolled the very unlucky Gen 1 miss while also sand attacked, so we just didn't notice it. Definitely possible, but...
Ooh, 24. That's a lot of HP to be left with.
Yes, it is.
So...
Alright, Minnow was talking in Discord prior to the race about how he is planning on catching this Snorlax.
Did he get Master Ball? I missed it. He should have gotten Master Ball if he's going to do that.
He really just wants to teach it Surf.
And is going to catch it. Very nice.
The meme run continues.
And we had the first Snorlax of the tournament.
Alright, which side is he going to get this rare candy from? Oh, he is attempting to get it? No. Looked like he was going to try from the left there for a second. And then he decided not to. Probably the correct decision, but definitely was considered.
Yeah, he was mowing the lawn. He was going back and forth just to make sure it was cut.
Suki's still at a really, really good pace here.
Minnow didn't realize that catching Snorlax would mess up his Paris being in his final slot. Reluctantly doesn't teach Snorlax Earthquake. That'd be pretty sad.
Stoki making quick work of the mansion here. Pretty easy super repel and just a little bit of pathing. Making sure to pick up the secret key and the ice beam coming up. As well as, I believe, a rare candy.
Ice Beam is a weird way to say Blizzard.
Or, yes, Blizzard. Words are hard.
But yeah, Blizzard probably would be worse than Ice Beam if it didn't have 90% accuracy in this generation specifically. In every other generation, it goes down to 70% accuracy, which makes it incredibly inconsistent.
Yep. The bottom teeth.
You really get teeth in the bottom.
Yeah, I did.
This guy.
In case you were wondering, that was a 200 IQ play to make sure his super repel ends at a very specific tile. No, I have no idea.
If only we had that brain power. Some good stats. Oh my god.
Switching it around to make sure that all of his other habits don't get interrupted by the Starlax. Oh man, too funny. Alright. Here's where stocchi gets into the kind of what I would consider the boss rush of the game, where it's just gym leader into 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 rival, walk a whole bunch, Elite Four. So, almost there. Getting towards the tail end of the game, just matter of having a bunch of the big highlight fights just back to back to back. No more really storyline to it.
Yeah, very interesting that you actually do like more than half of like the big boss fights in like probably the last 35% of the game or so.
Yep.
Like basically, yeah.
Yeah, you set everything up so that way all of the fights going forward, all of those fights are relatively easy for you to complete instead of doing them in like the order that you would normally expect of after Surge do Erica, which actually in this case is what we're actually doing. Or no, we did Koga.
Oh.
We did Koga first.
So stocchi is attempting to get Red Bar off of this Victory Bell, who has Razor Leaf and Sleep Powder. Razor Leaf will always critical, as you saw there, but it's also equally likely to use Sleep Powder.
Yep. Luckily, he has the Poke Flute, so he loses a little bit of time stalling there, but does guarantee that eventually he'll set it up as long as he doesn't miss a Blizzard, which we haven't seen yet, considering that was, I believe, the first Blizzard of the run.
Execute was the first Blizzard of the run.
Yes, you were correct.
But he also did not miss that, so... what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, stocchi actually might have reason to be worried here, because I'm not actually sure, but he has less HP right now than you would if you died to self-destruct. I think he has like 7 less HP. So he might actually be dead to a Karate Chop non-critical.
Yep.
Or maybe even low kick too. So it might be a bit scary for him. So Black Belt is in Giovanni's gym and tends to be one of the biggest run killers of the run. Considering you have Red Bar and you need to set up an X accuracy for that fight, or some sort of X item. And has 2 different damaging moves, 2 non-damaging moves, and it can also X attack. One of the damaging moves is like 70% to crit, and if it crits, you're always dead. But yeah, so not an easy fight.
Nope. stocchi showing his Poke knowledge here and answering all of these little quiz questions, hopefully correctly to avoid any extra trainer fights here. And you'll notice here, Minnow is rare candying the Nito. This is kind of what the strat was supposed to look like on stocchi's end, but he didn't get the HP set up to do that. But by dying to the self-destruct, once you rare candy, you actually gain the HP even though you're dead. So you don't have to revive, and it guarantees that you're at about 10-ish HP, which will allow you to just maintain Red Bar almost through the rest of the run. Which is really, really nice. Again, we were talking about how that does save time from jingles and level ups and that sort of thing. So it does just help keep that balance going forward and just keep those time saves as consistent as possible.
Exactly. So stocchi did get PP up there, and so there's generally the two most popular routes either use PP up or not PP up. And there's the Snorlax Surf.
There is the Snorlax Surf.
Oh,
now the real question, yep, there it was how many times is he gonna miss input and go to the Squirtle before going to the Snorlax? We saw it literally the first menu already where he tabbed up one too many times. And
there aren't even that many times when you use Surf. I think there's actually just 2 times when you use Surf in the whole run.
Yep.
So can't imagine it'd be that big of a difference. We'll see.
Time to do the relatively easy tile maze here. Get us directly to Sabrina. We're going to see a side Sabrina here on Stocchi's part. I'm sure, almost guaranteed, we will see a the behind Sabrina, top side.
From Minnow.
Coming up here in a couple of minutes.
So yeah, there's a few fights in the late game where the only way you can realistically die is if you Gen 1 miss, like I mentioned before.
Which I'm still pretty sure we haven't seen one yet. So
I don't think we have. Yeah, so it's 1 in 256 for every 100% accurate move to miss. And you end up using Earthquake. Earthquake is usually the move that you worry about, but also like Thunderbolt or Bubble Beam or Water Gun. There's a lot more ones in like the early game, but
yep. In late game, once you start doing X accuracies and it's no longer checking for accuracy, doesn't matter as much.
Right.
But there are still a couple of opportunities here and there for you to become very sad. Alright. So we're going to Giovanni's gym here, and this is where we will see Black Belt. He has a relatively easy trainer fight before that, but I very much suspect we'll see a safety save going into that fight, and then hopefully no resets here.
Yeah. It seems to me that low kick will do 9 to 10, which means he is dead to low kick here.
Oh no.
So pretty scary for Stocchi. Not a great. There's one less good outcome here, and Karate Chop is completely dead now. So it's actually quite likely that he dies at least once. So hopefully not, but. And gets a low kick. That's unlucky.
Yeah, technically he does have revive still. I suspect that if this goes poorly a couple times in a row, he might end up just deciding, you know what, I'm just going to revive and just not worry about the red bar as much for the last tail bit of the run, which is unfortunate, but sometimes in order to just finish a run being at an awkward spot, he might end up having to.
And low kick again. Wow.
Yeah, and he might not realize it's guaranteed to kill.
Yeah, he is in chat here. WSOP bringing up a good point that he could have potioned, bringing him to 29 HP, which actually also lives Karate Chop critical, which means he has no reason to save for the fight. So that's definitely a very safe play, and
yep,
definitely a higher percentage to live for sure. Okay, it gets Lear finally, so
there he goes.
We'll make it through.
We're in it. He was just giving Minnow a little bit of a chance to catch up here. He has to make up for the Snorlax run. Minnow deciding not to swag strat too much and not fight all these extra trainers.
I mean, that sounds like a throw to me.
Now, the extra XP just guarantees some more ranges, I promise.
Okay.
Also, I love the fact that you can just walk out of the building and walk back in, and it resets the trainer positions in this gym. Saves a whole lot of fights here. Great 90s programming of not being able to remember positional states of your NPCs.
I personally think it's more funny that that it's slower to go in like the spinny tiles than to literally leave the gym and come back.
Yep.
That's how slow
also
they
hilarious.
are. It is slower than walking speed, to put that into perspective.
Minnow walking all the way around Blade.
There's the back plane, yep. The real question is, I wonder how much time his antics have cost over the course of this run. Oh my goodness, Stokey missing a lot of blizzards.
Oh no. Missed range, miss. So he is down to 2. He ended up earthquaking there to make sure that he has 2 blizzards for this upcoming rival fight, which is actually very important.
And he actually will need 2 blizzards. He's doing PP up, so he's going to blizzard the Pidgeot and blizzard the Rhyhorn as well. But I suppose you can earthquake the Rhyhorn if you really need to. Or you can finish the the Pidgeot with Thunderbolt if you miss the range.
Minnow heading over to Sabrina. Again, very, very easy fight at this stage in the game. Nothing really to be worried about there.
Alright, does crit the Pidgeot, so not worrying about PP here.
Very clean fight. One thing I did wish that this game originally implemented was like this whole area of like this victory road where they're checking your badges. I wish that in between each of them they had like different level Pokemon that were like you typically normally couldn't get, sort of thing, somewhere around the map where you could come in and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get something between level like 20 and 30 because I have this badge, and something between like 25 and 35 or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give you some incentive of coming here prior to having literally all of the badges already.
I actually never thought about doing that until recently. I didn't realize you could get encounters before you got all the badges. In Victory Road, it just never occurred to me. I just figured you get all the badges collectively.
And then you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they have They have grass tiles later on. They should have had grass tiles earlier and then just like staggered what patches of grass have what and make it worthwhile to come in. But lo and behold, nobody comes here until you have everything already.
Yeah. We did see Minnow earlier take Alex's advice and dig right after Sabrina instead of going to the teleporter, which is faster.
Yep.
Because Minnow is swaggiest man alive.
Well, there's a
Second most swaggy
swag
man
boulder.
alive.
2 swag boulders.
Is he going for 23?
3.
He is going for 23. Oh, he missed one. Wait, no.
He is 5. We'll keep a counter.
I don't think he missed one. So yeah, swag boulders as you see here, basically it's when you turn while you're pushing the boulder, like right there.
Yep.
And it does a little visual.
Of the boulder in the wrong spot.
Yeah, it does like a little neat visual thing.
Yep. Which not only is hilarious, but also does in fact lose a little bit of time.
It loses a very minimal amount of time. I think doing every swag boulder here loses probably like... I guess it's hard to say though, because doing this also requires an extra repel, so... If you don't factor that in, it's probably like around 2 seconds.
Yep.
If you do all of them. But maybe not. Maybe it's just a second and a half or something like that.
He is in fact going for every one possible.
I don't think he's missed one yet.
I don't think he has either.
He goes for the early repel to account for his swag boulders.
How sad do you think he'd be if he missed this last one?
Alright, he gets all of them. 23 swag boulders, well done.
Minnow heading to the rival fight. Had a pretty clean black belt into Giovanni there. Sochi, knowing he does have Revive still, makes sense for him not to deposit and just to eat a little bit of a time loss there, just to have that little extra bit of safety going into these last 6 fights. This strat is also very interesting. Nuong has a very, very high chance of using a damaging move on turn 1 and then guaranteed rest turn 2. So you switch to a Pidgey, it dies, and then you can then switch back and set up on the rest turn, so you don't have to worry about your Nidoking taking damage and dying.
Yeah, so this it's kind of like a point called YOLO Lorelei. It's like a strat you can take where you just deposit your bird. So you skip the strat that Samson just mentioned, and you basically just go for the X-Ack on turn 1, and it's basically 50% to use either Rest or Aurora Beam because they're both super effective moves. And Lorelei has what's called the good AI. Oh my goodness! Something very interesting on Minnow's screen. Misses the Blizzard range, or I think crits probably I didn't see, but freezes the Venusaur. I actually don't think I've ever seen that happen before.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen either.
Oh no!
So
Oh,
unlucky.
Stokey gets slam critical. That's like 2% to happen on this fight. That's a very rare death.
The slam misses. Onyx, what are you doing? This looks like a repeat of what happened to Echo. Of something unlikely happened, and now the Squirtle is just going to live forever. What is this? Alright.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's a really
Slam
unfortunate.
critical again. The slam critical hit the Squirtle there.
So good thing Stokey has 1 extra X accuracy, so that's not a problem for his X item usage, but pretty unfortunate. Also doesn't have to heal for Agatha, so it's not the worst death in the world. There are worse deaths for sure.
Yep.
Still on pace for quite a good time. Quite a good, likely winning time.
Yeah, he has to get very, very, very trolled at this point for Minnow to have the opportunity to catch up. Minnow opting not to go for 23 swag boulders. Which, considering the meme of his run, I'm actually kind of disappointed in him at this point.
Damn.
He went for every meme strat there is, and then he's not going for it. I don't understand.
I think he said he just doesn't really know how to do swag boulders, to be honest.
Okay. To be fair, fair. So able to go just directly into this Agatha fight here.
What is he gonna get? He gets Hypnosis, hits, which means he's got a Poke-Flute. That's not a great outcome. Basically, just waste a turn. What's he get after this? Dream
Meter good.
fine.
Perfect.
So, a strat that developed pretty much at the beginning of last year's tournament is called Mansion Candy strats. So basically what it does is you pick up an extra candy, or an extra rare candy in Cinnabar Mansion, and you use it either before Bruno or before Agatha. And it allows you to outspeed the last Gengar with an X special, because X specials give speed badge boosts as well as special boosts.
Yep.
And this Gengar can be also pretty scary. I don't think it has the exact same moveset, but it has a very similar moveset to the first Gengar and could be very troll.
Relatively clean fight there.
I know it has
Yeah.
Toxic instead of one of its moves.
All right.
So I wonder what Stokey's gonna do. Elixirs and super potions. Okay. So this brings me to another strategy that he could have done. Maybe if he had Red Bar after Agatha. It's basically going in to Lance without saving, and just Thunderbolting the Gyarados turn 1. It's very safe for you to win, but you're usually taking a death and reviving. You're almost certainly doing that. But you can crit it with Thunderbolt, you can paralyze it, you can have Hydro Miss, all of which give you a fast fight. But Stokey opted not to do that this run. Usually you do it when you have enough of a lead where you can take one revive death usually, which stocchi can definitely do here.
Yep.
But this is fine too, as he has red bar for Lance and maybe champion. We'll have to see if he heals or not.
Minnow also opting to go for the Pidgey switch strats on Lorelei. I feel like that's pretty standard at this point. Definitely, as discussed before, the YOLO Lorelei is definitely a thing, but I would expect that's more of a I'm on a just barely a PB run slash world record pace type of strat.
Exactly. So let's see what stocchi decides to do here. He does decide to super potion, okay. Because his HP was actually very dangerous. 19 HP puts him, I think, I think he's favored to die to wing attack. So definitely reasonable to heal here. So now he's pretty high likelihood to win. If he sees like a wing attack crit or whatever, he can heal again if he needs to. So it should be pretty safe. Wing attack.
Totally fine.
Yes,
I think the wing attack crit again.
And he's good. He wins.
Easy game.
Very, very good run from stocchi here. Definitely good playing, for sure.
Yeah, trolled in a couple of spots. Nothing huge or super detrimental where he had to backtrack a bunch. I think every place that he safety saved, he actually ended up not dying to, or not needing the safety save. So just very, very.
He did die to black belt twice.
Oh, he did. Yes, you were correct. Yeah, got trolled on black belt, got trolled on Bruno, and then everything else was really, really good.
Yeah, very solid execution from stocchi all around.
And there's the last attack of the game.
Let me see, Minnow going into Agatha here. See what he gets. Ooh, Confuse Ray. Probably the worst outcome. And hurting himself too. See if he decides to
snaps out immediately.
Okay, snaps out immediately. That's fantastic. So now he just needs to hit Blizzard and he's good.
stocchi on pace for a mid 154 here.
Yeah. For I think it was 3 deaths. 1 to Bruno, 2 to Black Belt.
Yep.
And still with the mid 154. Very, very, very good.
And actually, this is really funny, but if Minnow has a very clean last couple of fights, he actually, I think, could squeak in a PB here with this run. Like, very close.
His PB is a 154, I think.
No, Minnow's is a 158. 158.14. Echoes was a 154. 155.
No, I think...
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now on the leaderboards. 158.14.
Can someone in chat attest that Minnow has a 154? I think he has it without instant text too.
Okay, interesting. Huh. Well, if he has a 154, he hasn't posted or uploaded it for submission. Leaderboard's not updated. Okay. Fair.
Oh, and Minnow actually goes for the strat I was just talking about.
Yep.
So goes for Thunderbolt here. And does to get the death, unfortunately, but obviously he doesn't care because he has revives. Was prepared for it. Consider swapping the Snorlax, but realize that'd probably be a bad idea in terms of trying
It
to
might
kill
not
it.
actually die yet.
Alright, maybe we can get Stokey in here for an interview.
Extra setup on the Dragonair. Yeah, it's a very interesting race. Just to kind of recap what had happened as we try to get Stokey in here, is we ended up having a relatively early lead by Stokey around the Mount Moonish area, where he pulled ahead I'd say about 2 minutes ahead or so, and kind of just maintained that lead throughout. Echo and Minnow were very head-to-head almost the whole way through, with Echo ended up forfeiting at the Lavender Town rival due to a quick attack, like a pretty dangerous early horn drill strat play, ended up dying to a quick attack on the Pidgeotto, I believe, and then wasn't quite able, and then got really trolled when he switched to Squirtle to revive, where it was like 8 turns in a row where it just kept like hardening and doing other stuff that wouldn't end up actually killing the Squirtle, before he just decided to forfeit there. And then Minnow actually closing the gap from like what it felt like was a pretty large gap in the middle of that game to not be nearly as far behind Stokey as I would have expected. So, like, really well played by the two who are finishing the run here. And Minnow just wrapping up the last rival fight here of the game. A couple of horn drills to come, and we'll close it up. Really, really good game by all players here. Nice. Very nice. Coming in for what appears to be a low, I guess kind of a 2 hour on the dot. Don't think it'll be a 2:01 here. It does look like we'll have Stokey coming in here for an interview any minute here. Oh yeah, he does have extra Hall of Fame time because of the Snorlax. Oh no.
And hello, Stokey.
Hello, hello.
Congrats on winning the race. How do you think you did? How do you feel like you played?
I started out pretty good. But then the late game, I made some questionable decision. Like I should have potioned for sure before black belt, but I didn't
Yeah.
really remember what Pokemon I was supposed to style after that. So I decided to take the risk, and I got punished, like died 2 times.
Yeah.
And
That's
then also
unfortunate.
at Bruno, that slam crit, I think I could have split XP. I like waited 8 turns to Onyx to kill my Squirtle, but yeah, I probably could have just swapped back because I would level up at Machamp anyway, and then I could rare candy, so no problem with the XP. I'm not 100% sure, but should be like that.
Yeah. I hate slam crit. It's so rare. But it actually ended up putting
Yeah.
it ended up putting you in a pretty decent position for Agatha, right? Because you didn't have to heal.
Well, I lost 1 minute, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not the worst.
I could have just
But-
super potion. No, I like mid 40, 54 is not too bad.
Yeah, definitely played very well, and 154 is definitely a good time for 3 deaths. So
4
well
deaths,
played.
since also Oddish. There
Oh
was also
right,
an
yeah,
Oddish
that's
death.
right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad because 107 flute could have like been best time so far with a really good flute to end. But yeah, late game was horrible.
True.
Yeah, it definitely was a little rough towards the end. The early game seemed like you pulled ahead pretty easily around the Mount Moonish time frame, and then just kept red bar and stuff throughout. So it was very well executed, almost all the way through.
Yeah, Surge and Fly Speed were really good, except for Oddish. I got like a really good Surge fight. Getting like a perfect red bar and also critting the Raichu was really good.
Yeah, because that was the 4th Thrash, wasn't it? Like you missed the range on the Voltorb as well, so
Yes,
it would have
yes.
you would
I
have
got
had
the
to
4th
switch there
turn
as
and
well.
also the crit. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
it was very
exactly.
lucky. Well,
I mean,
congrats
I
again.
was really, thank you. I was really nervous. It was my first race in a tournament, so there was some little sloppy execution all over the place, taking extra steps, like failing some double inputs, but overall it was not too bad.
Yeah, definitely very well played, especially for your first tournament match. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, and I don't think we're gonna have Minnow for an interview, but he did say he had a lot of fun. He might not advance. Definitely.
He's
think
got to
he
ride on
enjoyed
that cusp with his time, and congrats on moving on, Stokey, and good run.
Thank you.
Good luck in round 2. All right, I think that's probably gonna be it for us if there's nothing else. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we're gonna be back with the next red race in the tournament this Friday. I don't know what time it is, but it'll be Friday. So yeah, make sure to tune in for that. And goodbye, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye bye.